In the previous example, we created a deployment using the create -f command. Now, if we want to update some property of that deployment, all we have to do is to change the config.yaml file and then go ahead and reapply that file. This will require us to make use of the kubectl apply -f command. This is the pure declarative way of using Kubernetes, and that is what we are going to demo in this video. As always, let's start by listing all of the pods that we have in our cluster. Here, there's just the one pod associated with our deployment. And that deployment, which we can also query using kubectl get deployments, has the name nginx-deployment. Let's now go ahead and try something new. We are going to edit our YAML file and we are going to add in there a new field which specifies the number of replicas. Note that we had omitted the number of replicas when we created this deployment in the previous video, and that's why it defaulted to 1. We are now going to explicitly add a field in there which will specify that the number of replicas that we want is equal to 3. Nothing else changes. The container in our pod is still going to be nginx version 1.7.9. Let's hit Ctrl X and get out of this file and go ahead and apply the changes which we just made using kubectl apply -f. We get our familiar warning which we are used to by now. This is a warning because we are mixing the pure declarative and the hybrid declarative plus config modes in object management. This is okay for us to do in the context of this class because it makes it much clearer to get across what our point is. In the real world, you should be more careful about mixing kubectl apply -f and kubectl create -f. In any case, here the nginx deployment has been reconfigured, and if we now run kubectl get pods, we can see that the number of pods has increased to 3. This is because the control plane of the Kubernetes cluster is smart enough to pick up on the fact that we had updated the number of replicas, we had set it to be equal to 3, which is a change from its default value of 1. The control plane is always trying to get the actual and the desired state of the cluster in sync, and that's why it will fire up 2 additional replicas. And that explains why we now have 3 pods. One of those has been running for 5 minutes. The other 2 have only been running for 19 seconds each. What do you think would happen if we went back into our deployment.yaml file and went ahead and zapped the line where the number of replicas was set to 3? Let's try it out. Let's delete that line and then go ahead and reapply our deployment file. Notice how we do not encounter a warning this time around because the last applied configuration was also done declaratively. If we now get the pods associated with this deployment, we can see that we are back to just the one pod. The 2 pods which had been recently brought up in response to the increase in the number of replicas have both gone away.